Now, Johnny, there's a lot of confusion in the market about different types of AI solutions. Can you help us understand the landscape?
Absolutely. And in all fairness, we were confused too when we started. When we started maybe almost 2 years ago now, what is AI? What's not AI? What types of AI is out there? And I think many people are still confused. So let's break it down into four major categories here that will really help people understand it. LLMs as large language models as agents. This is your most publicly obvious ones: ChatGPT, Claude from Anthropic, Gemini from Google, DeepSeek from China, and so on and so forth, Perplexity, etc. These large LLM agents, they are primarily built on the public domain of data. They don't have a ton of private data. Their primary value comes from their weights and balances that they use to define how the agent interacts with you. And of course, there is some private data that they're fed, maybe lots, but for the most part, it's a mix of the public data that they're primarily trying to get their arms wrapped around. And that's beneficial to everybody. However, these LLM agents in the past, especially without a direct application access, are a very different breed than those that have an application access. And so that's moves us into kind of the second column. The second column is LLMs that have app connections and memory. Now you start to get some interesting use cases really out of it for the enterprise. The LLM can learn continuously from its interactions. You get multiple applications with a unified access layer. Many applications and LLMs are already touting access to 100, 1,000 biz apps, or 1,000 websites and services and so on and so forth. And they're doing it through a variety of ways, which Carlos will talk about. But the LLMs plus the app connections in memory are primarily the concept that if I gave you a screwdriver or one toolbox, that you'd be able to build a house. And although that's true, it's not the most efficient way to build a house, right? We really need certain specific tools if I'm building a house. And that same toolbox should not be probably used to build a tractor. And so although you can do a generic tool to build all these different things, it's not actually the best way for an enterprise to go about it. It might be okay for an individual casual user, but the enterprise needs to be fast, efficient, provide value to its end customer. And so it needs a more tailored experience. And so that led us to a breed of what we call in-app agents. And in-app agents have the biggest and deepest technical connection to their application because they're inside their own application. And that seems great at first blush. I can do all this deep analysis on my own application. I can get all the core data out of it, so on and so forth. But the actual, some of the scope and differences that we have, and I'll just live at the white rows here versus the gray, is that you start to see that the app itself only has certain functional fit in your enterprise. And when it does that, it means that you can't actually analyze the rest of the business. And so you're analyzing the business in isolation. You're executing on the business in isolation, which any enterprise will tell you that's a fatal flaw. And so ultimately you come to what we call layer agents. And layer agents are still relatively new. They're starting to mature out as a segment of the agentic population. And the layer agent's got the best capabilities to do all of this. It combines the benefits of the LLM, and it's got optimization, learns from mistakes, builds RAG, all that kind of stuff. Great. It can interact with multiple applications simultaneously, and if it's a good one, hopefully like we built as I've heard, it's also designed to work with the best type of connection that app agent or that app provides. And that deep connection across all your multiple applications means you can have an enterprise workflow. You can have an enterprise ROI really come out of it. And so it's partly about the connection, and it's very much about the learning. And that's why the types of AI and the way that they learn and the way that they can improve for you is actually the most important bet that you make. Not about how they are today, but how they're going to be 6 months from now, a year from now, 5 years from now. That's critical. And so you want something that's going to learn forever, grow forever, and still be yours. Super important. But then that comes to the question of, well, okay, what are you connected to? And so I'll kind of leave it to Carlos to talk about how do we connect to these different applications.
Thank you, Johnny. And that leads nicely with how these systems are communicated. So let's dig a little bit in historical context of how we used to communicate things. So we have SOAP, and this has been there forever. It's still being used since 1998, and it's simple object access protocol. Very, very structured, but it's very heavy. Then in the 2000s, we have REST, representational state transfer, very lightweight, widely adopted, and is pretty much the standard for the APIs model that we currently use, but not enough for what we are seeing in AI. So now in 2024, we start seeing the Model Context Protocol, MCP, and that is currently how it's being framed for AIs and the tool sets and the access of the systems. But it's not enough. Now, with the work that we are doing and the challenges that we have uncovered with creating our AI, we had to develop the next level, and it's what we call agentic layer, and it's where a Cypher lives. Is how an AI autonomously monitors, learn, predict, and execute across the entire tech stack of an organizational based on the knowledge that has already acquired. And that is a key vision that we are bringing to life and breaking the old models of how things need to be communicated. And that is what a Cypher is bringing. Moving forward, also, we need to consider the integrations that are being used in the organization, because it's not just how it communicates, but traditionally, we have used different integration methods between the systems. And we have middleware, USB style, where you plug and play different connections. This is fast, easy to deploy, but on the opposite side, limits our flexibility. Then you have the custom integrations where direct code to connect things is highly tailored, very effective, do what it needs, but is very time consuming to maintain, to build. And every time that you change something, you need to go back to that custom integration and rebuild it. So not ideal for scalability purposes. We have the persistent connections and continuous real time, fantastic to get information that you need, low latency, real life data. The con of this is complexity. It requires a lot of expertise to maintain it in the long run. And every time that you add something to your technology stack, you need to go and revisit pretty much all what you have done. Now, with Cypher, we are proposing eliminate all that. Forget about it. It's no longer need. And that reason is because Cypher can manage that integration based on how it's connected to all your corporate business applications. So you don't have to handle that complexity. Cypher will do it for you.